Welcome to another podcast of the brand called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very, very accomplished professional networker and author from Fort Worth, Texas, USA, Mr. Donnie Boivin. Donnie, welcome to the show.
Ashtosh, good to see you, brother. I actually listened for you to how you pronounce your name so I could get as close as dang possible. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
me on. I'm excited to hang out with you.
Thank you. Donnie is the CEO and founder of Success Champion Networking. He's considered one of the leading global minds on sales, business development, and business growth. He's the host of a podcast titled Growth Mode, and he's an author of a book titled FCKD to Focused Success Champion Networking, Badass Business Summit, and Champion Stable Masterminds. So, Donnie, before I come to networking, tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I did 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, then 20 years in straight commission sales.
Okay.
I didn't know you could be an entrepreneur until I turned 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a very blue collar family. So
Mm-hmm.
you went and got
Yep.
a job and you worked for other people.
Mm.
Through a fun series of events and my choice, at the age of 40, I launched my company
Mm-hmm.
and ran it straight into the ground because, I was
Okay.
an employee for years and I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea how to be a business owner.
Yeah.
Um, was able to turn the company around and, figure out what it means to run a business,
Mm-hmm.
and now have grown to a global brand, 3 companies, 2 top podcasts, 5 best-selling books, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
So let's talk about networking, Success Champion Networking. Tell me what you do here.
So we have the fastest growing networking organization on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Networking was not something that I ever wanted to get into. I didn't want my brand to be around networking because somebody who typically teaches networking is
Mm-hmm.
just a broke person that has no idea how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be associated with those type of people. So in a discussion with my wife, actually, and during the pandemic, I said, babe, I'm going to launch networking groups, but I really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, why don't you change how the world networks and fix what everything that people hate about networking?
Mm-hmm.
So we bring in a higher tier, higher caliber people, no multi-level marketing, network marketers or the like,
Mm-hmm.
but we bring business owners from around the world together to meet in these strategic mastermind peer group style meetings
Mm-hmm.
that open a ton of doors,
Right.
focus more on introductions and referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And it has grown extremely rapidly,
Mm.
with online communities, virtual events, and in-person summits.
Mm. And you say that you have what you call get shit done business owners. Help me understand this term.
So, a circle of influence
Uh-huh.
is that person that knows everybody in town, right? So they people always say you want to get to the circle of influence. I don't want to get to the circle of
Mhm.
influence.
Mm.
I want to get to the GSDs, the get shit done individual, because the circle of influence knows everybody. The get
Mm.
shit done person, everybody knows them
Mm.
because their presence typically walks through the door before they do, right? Everybody wants to be around these individuals,
Mm.
and in a lot of our networking groups we bring these type of individuals together,
Mm.
and when you get a room full of these type of people, a lot of business gets done
Mm.
because everybody's focused on opening doors for the other person. They're not there looking for a handout of, oh my god, please give me a referral, like most networking is.
Mm.
It's no, let's open doors, because if I can get you introduced to the right person,
Mm.
the universe is going to take care of me. It's not this idea I'm giving to gain anything. I'm
Mm.
giving because it's the right damn thing to do. And it completely transforms the dynamic of conversations.
Oh, wonderful. And networking is very important, but you seem to be doing things with a difference. Tell me, why is networking important for a lot of our young audience?
Networking really makes the world go round.
Mm.
It used to be everybody said it's not, who you are, it's who you know. But in this day and age, it's so evolved that it's no longer who you know, it's who knows you and who brings your name up in the right conversations.
Correct.
Most networking has been taught over the years from a desperation mindset. I've got to go network because I got to meet people, or I've got to go network because I got to get referrals. We believe that networking is just a portion of your overall business development strategy. So you've got to be going and doing things outside of networking to truly make networking, work for you, your business, who you are. And this is why we change the way people look at it, because we want people to look more specifically in how can I make that person I'm talking to life better? Can I introduce them to the right person? Can I open the right door for them? And how do we focus really specifically on growing their life, growing their business versus always coming at it as, oh my God, this desperation act that I have to have a referral. I have to have, business coming in. Because I'm not outgrowing my own business, I have to sell you because I have no other choice.
Correct. And a lot of young people, and I've spoken to many, the $1 million question they have is, how do I network better?
A lot of it is start thinking about what you can bring people first. There's a lot of people that want to get into certain circles, get around certain people, and be able to get into the right crowds, the right conversations. But they always come at it from a desperation thing is, I got to get in that crowd. My life will change if I get in that crowd. If they flip their mentality to what can I bring that crowd? What can I give that individual? What do they need? And go out of their way to try and get that thing done, then doors start opening and conversations start happening. And you come, instead of looking at it from this desperation of what can they do for me, you're literally going into it going, let me show them what I can do for them. And it completely transforms the way you talk and approach people.
And Donnie, at what stage of one's career for a young individual should one start to think about building a network?
Oh, even before they get into a career. I mean, networking is an evolutionary game. You are going to need people in your life that can continue to get you to the other people in life that you need to get to. You can do it all on your own without needing people, but it's a lot easier to get where you want to go if you can get introduced to the right people. But most big careers, most jobs, most companies, anything you build are built on the back of networking, because most people, if you have the right network, you don't need resumes, you don't need anything. You need introductions and good conversations.
Great response. Thank you. So, there's a general belief that if I have a strong presence on social media with lots and lots of likes, I've built a strong network. I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, everybody wants to live the Instagram life. And the trick with it all is, unless you have genuine conversations happening, and I don't care what platform it's on, unless there's genuine conversations and real learning and dialogue, likes and everything mean nothing. Now, I will tell you, for your own sanity, having likes and comments can be fun, but likes and comments won't pay the bills. And most times, most of the success is actually found in conversations with people who aren't liking and commenting on your stuff, because busy people don't have time to stop and pause and write out a thoughtful, comment. The only people that have time to write out really long, thoughtful comments are broke people or people who have nothing better to do than to comment on social media. So it's really about understanding that social media is a cocktail party.
Correct.
And you should treat it as such.
Correct. A cocktail party moving at nanosecond speed.
Yes. Nanosecond speed is right.
So the other question is that, how does one determine which platform really to take? I mean, there's so many, the big ones are LinkedIn and YouTube and so on and so forth. Which platform should one really work with?
I think it all depends on their goals. If it's corporate career, you should start with LinkedIn. If it's more hobby based or visual in nature, go to Instagram, TikTok. But here's the thing. I think you need to be diverse in at least two different platforms. You can't just dominate one because it's putting all your eggs in one basket. You're going to lose. Pick two platforms, and it really, truly, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. It's about learning to create a community on that platform, and it goes back to dialogues and conversations. The more you genuinely pour into people and have these real conversations, the more your base will grow, and the more you'll grow, and the benefits of having a grown base, as long as it's genuine conversation. I mean, you see all these people put out posts that have millions of followers and they get like 3 comments,
Correct.
no likes. It's because they haven't actually built a community. All they've done is try to gather followers.
Well said. And I'd love to get your perspective on how important personal branding is for networking.
Well, personal branding is the only thing you can ever take with you. So I don't care where your career is. I don't care what you do, where you go, how you do it. Personal branding is the only thing that you can take with you. And the definition of branding is very simple. Marketing and advertising is what you say you do. Branding is what everybody else says you do when you're not in the room. So you've got to protect that brand at all costs, because you destroy that brand, and that's the thing that you get to go with you, and you don't want to burn the wrong bridges.
And I guess, as you said a little while ago, when someone, when your persona precedes you in a more room, that's probably a strong personal brand, isn't it?
Absolutely. The people that understand that by becoming known in the right circles will go out of their way to make sure that they grow that brand big enough to bring the right attention at the right time.
One more question related to networking before I move to your book. Today's corporate leaders or young people are the millennials, the Gen Zs. I'm from the baby boomers generation. I'd love to get your perspective on how are the younger leaders handling networking?
To be honest, I don't think they are. I think that because we live in one of the most unique times we've ever lived in, you and I think you got a few years on me yet, but you and I grew up in a world of no social media, no internet really, and it became later along the ride. And for me, having a network was massively important, and it's still massively important. But the difference is, when things move to the world we're in now, where all you need is a phone to start and build a company, gig economy, and the different likes, that people are not so focused on connecting with other people. They're more focused on themselves, reducing, getting smaller. So I think it's going to be an interesting time as we move forward to see the dynamics of how networking plays out in this younger generation coming up, because they are literally changing the world right now by how they're approaching the world. So
correct. They're changing the rules of the game, I think, now. And
yeah, at 100%.
And in a very positive way. So, Donnie, let's now move to your book. I think you said you got 5 books, you said.
I do.
So let's start with your first one and tell me about the book and your motivation and your hypothesis.
So the first one is called How to Be a Success Champion. And that was done a lot for me. The ultimate goal was to teach people how to think about sales and business in a different perspective. What ended up happening as I wrote that book is I realized that I was learning to tell my story and learning to tell the journey and things I went through. So it really ended up becoming a culmination of the things I knew about business and life up to that point. So it was half journal, half advice principle. So it was really, really fun to write. And then from there, the next book was How to Create a High Vibe Business. And I co-authored that with a gal by the name of Laura DeFranco. And that was a lot of fun because we were talking about how to keep your mental game very high energy, because it's a lot of work building a business.
Correct.
So we focused a lot. That one's done very workshop style, so worksheets. From there, we did joy stacking, and joy stacking came about because Lord Frankel and I co-authored that one again. We were just talking about how miserable people make themselves as they build their business. They put themselves on an island, and misery loves company. So as they begin to build a business and things go south, they tend to continue to stack misery on top of misery. So we wanted to flip the script and say, quit stacking misery. Let's start stacking joy.
Right.
The next book was Endless Stream of Referrals, and that book is 34 pages long. Wow. And all I wanted to do was get people to get a lot of referrals coming in on a consistent, regular basis to allow them to actually grow a business. So it's quick hit tips that will have just a ridiculous amount of referrals coming into your business, lickety split. Okay. And then my last book, F to Focus, I'll let them spell it all out, but has literally outsold every other book that I've ever written combined.
Wow.
It is completely taken off, but what it really is there's a point in building a business where the entrepreneur goes, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a stronger way to build a business. And F to Focus is really at that moment where you get to a place of, okay, I didn't set out to create a crappy job for myself. I'm ready to build a business, build a platform. Let's figure out how to do that. And it walks them through the step-by-step process to actually grow their company and set them up to actually scale.
Amazing. Amazing. Donnie, let me now ask you a question about your podcast, Growth Mode. Tell me about the podcast and what are you focusing on?
Yeah, so Growth Mode came about because of the networking groups and the conversations we were having with a lot of small business owners. And what I realized in a lot of my journey now, there was so many people talking about become an entrepreneur, get in the game, you know, you should start a business. And nobody was telling people how to actually be successful in those businesses. You know, it was all the front end. And as I was going along sharing my stories and my journeys, people kept asking questions on how to do things. So Growth Mode is really set to focus on growing your business. And so we talk a lot about the business development. And it's not an interview style podcast. It's me and Kevin Snow, who's the COO of the company. He's a very much an integrator, kind of introverted type of person. I'm very much outgoing, more loud and crazy, you know, type of person. So we come at a lot of topics from business growth, a lot of sales, a lot of marketing things, some networking. And we come at it from the approach of how do you do it if you're a more outgoing type individual? How do you do it if you're more of an integrator, you know, kind of doer type person? And we're teaching people business each and every week. And the feedback on that has been a lot of fun. The number of emails and messages and comments we've gotten on has been awesome, because there's a lot of times we're working through the things we're doing to evolve ourselves. Like one of the most downloaded episodes is why introductions are more important than referrals, and talking through how we grew up on referrals and have now switched to introductions was a pretty powerful conversation for the two of us. So it's been a lot of fun to put together.
And do you invite guests
no.
from all over, or just two of you do these conversations?
Just the two of us do the conversation. What we found is a lot of people don't want to listen to just, you know, a guest interview most times. So we decided that we were just going to dial in and focus very specifically on helping these business owners, and it's working.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And one more question on podcasts. You know, what goes into marketing a podcast?
Okay. That's really simple. My first podcast, 5 months in, hit number 22 on the Apple charts. And people ask me how I did it, and it's really, really simple. You become a walking billboard. There's not a whole lot of generic marketing and advertising that's going to get you to having more listeners. So what I used to do is I did a lot of public speaking, and everywhere I spoke, I would look at 3 or 4 hotels around where I'd spoke. And then each time after I was done with my speaking event, whether it's keynote, side stage, or whatever, I'd go hit the bars all around the different hotels, and I'd find the sales guys, the one or two sales guys that were sitting by themselves at the bar, and I'd sit down right next to them, strike up a conversation, and then I would ask them, like, "Do you listen to podcasts?" And they're like, "Absolutely." And then every time I'm like, "What show?" And every time it was Joe Rogan, right? I'm like, "Well, what platform do you listen to them on?" And they would say, Spotify, Google, whatever. I'm like, "Well, pull out your phone really quick." So they pull out their phone. I'd pull up Success Champions, my first podcast. Now I've had them pull up Growth Mode. And they're like, "Wait, that's you?" I'm like, "Yeah, do me a favor, go listen to an episode, send me an email on what your takeaways are from the episode." And I can't tell you how many emails I still get from people that are like, "Hey, my buddy, I just turned him on to your podcast, and dude, he's totally loving it. Keep it up. Really appreciate it." So it's a lot of guerrilla style marketing that makes this work.
Yeah, in the old days when I was growing up, it used to be called pavement pounding.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. So, Donnie, I've got time for just one more question.
Okay.
And this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. You had such an amazing kind of a career, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as an author, as a networker. What would you say are 3 lessons you would want our viewers and listeners to take away?
First and foremost, like the person you see in the mirror. If you don't like yourself, nothing is going to work. Nothing else is going to matter.
Yeah.
The second one, don't look at life as a series of failures to get better. Look at life as a series of trying things or knowing they're going to break and then doing them anyways and adapt what you learn.
Yeah.
And then third, you need to be educating yourself on whatever it is you're trying to get better at. You suck at money, go study money. You suck at mindset, go study mindset. You need to become a student of the things you want to improve upon. And, you got to feed your mind because your mind's being fed whether you like it or not.
Correct.
And we become what we consume.
Fantastic. Donnie, on that note, and your 3 outstanding lessons, like the person you see in the mirror, life is a series of attempts that we keep making, keep trying. And third one is keep educating yourself. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about networking, about your books, about your own journey, and about your amazing podcast, which seems to be a runaway hit. Thank you again, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Ash. I so appreciate it. And guys, one last thing before we get out of here. If you got any value out of this, do Ash a favor and share this out with one friend. So wherever you're listening to it, share it out on the platform for him. It'll mean a lot to help him get out there and spread the word. Thanks again for having me on, my friend.
Thank you, Donnie. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.